Irvine, thanks so much for joining us on Scotland Tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Love the documentary. It's a really reflective look at your life and your work. But in it, you say that you're not interested in leaving a legacy, which I thought was really interesting. You're not really proud of what you've achieved?
No, basically. I don't really see things in that way. I think I tend to be immersed in what I'm doing in the particular moment. I live in the moment, and I think everything else that's gone by, it's an act of giving away. I think when you write a book or you do a record or a film, you push it out there and you've given it away to make space for the next thing, you know? So that's just very much the way my mindset is. I don't really, you know, which is in some ways it's sort of, it's not great because you don't really get immersed and celebrate all the kind of the achievements and highs of it. But the criticisms of it don't really bother you either. You know, that's the good side of it. It's just something that's done and it's gone, and the next one. I don't really tend to look back much. So it was interesting to do this film because that's what it makes you do in a way.
Most people know you from Trainspotting, which was your very first book, but you don't think that's your best one?
Yeah, I think your first one's probably got this new energy to it, and it's the shock of the news, so it gets that kind of recognition. But I think you get better as a writer the older you get, and it's like anything. You just pick up more skills, and you know. But there's a kind of rawness about Trainspotting, I think, that's very good. But and I've tried to replicate it with Men in Love and with Skag Boys. But I think I think you kind of, I think for me it's like the ones that are really sort of I think are probably better books would be Glue or Marabou Stork Nightmares or even Sex Lives of Siamese Twins or Skag Boys.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you obviously don't look back too much, but do you ever think, oh, I could have done it better? Do you look back at Trainspotting and wish you'd done it differently? Or do you just not waste your time doing it? Well, that's one of the reasons you don't look back, because you're always, you've let go of something. If you see a book, all you can see is the mistakes in it, and you want to re-edit it and go over it again. And sometimes I have to look back if I'm writing a sequel or writing a book about the same characters. You have to look back for consistency, and that's always a terrible thing to do, is to look back at old stuff for me. You also talk in the film about how you've got demons, but you don't want to get rid of them because they energize you. You use them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. I think that one of the curses of the modern age is that people are kind of, people are scared of emotion. They're scared of feeling bad or feeling good or feeling sort of up and happy, and they want to edit all that out and medicate that and become these Stepford human beings that sort of never really nothing really bothers them one way or the other. We're meant to be up and down sometimes, and I think that if you don't have any demons, you haven't had a past. If you haven't had a past, you haven't had a life. And I think it's that all the things that life gives you, all the negative energy that life gives you, the great thing about art is that you can convert that into positives, that you use that, and it becomes part of your arsenal as a writer.
I mean, what are your demons then? Just things you've been through in the past, or maybe you don't want to tell me.
Yeah, I mean, the things that everybody goes through. You've got all kind of, everybody in life will go through losses. We'll lose. We'll lose people that we're very close to, like parents, like kind of close friends. We'll lose loved ones, we'll lose people, we'll lose love itself, we'll suffer relationship breakdowns, we'll suffer all kinds of weird sort of monetary problems, we'll suffer addictions, and all these kind of compulsive obsessive disorders, or they'll all be thrown into the mix. So I think you just roll with these things and get on with them and kind of try to make friends with them.
A lot of your books centre around drugs, and in the film we see you taking a hallucinogenic drug at a clinic in Toronto. Why was that? Why was that put in the film? Or is that all to do with Reality Is Not Enough, the name of the documentary?
Yeah, I think Paul wanted to conceptualise it, and he knew that I'd been doing some experiments with the standard DMT, and he wanted me to take the 5-EMO DMT that we did in Toronto, which is a different type of DMT basically. And it's basically a kind of a pre-life rather than post-death experience, which the other DMT is. So you get the kind of, so it was a great thing for me to do because you get the full emotion. I'd never done that drug before, that version of it. You get the full emotional shooting gallery. So it's kind of, it was a very interesting experience.
Was it not horrible doing that on camera?
Well, it's not, it's not a recreational drug, it's an experimental drug. So you are basically a lab rat. You're making yourself into a lab rat for the purposes of this.
I mean, you do talk about the positives of drugs, but drugs destroy lives, and Edinburgh, Scotland rather, is still the drugs death capital of Europe.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, I think Scotland's always had a terrible relationship with drugs. I mean, you could right back to our national drink is whiskey. We've always gone for the hit, basically, and I think that culture has permeated right through. We've just got more destructive toys now, like everybody else. The menus, the menus increased, and I think that the drugs that are killing people, they're sort of addictions killing everybody. Addiction to a mobile phone, addiction to prescription drugs as well as street drugs. And the power of big pharma, the power of big food. We're eating things that aren't really food. You see people that are morbidly obese yet malnourished at the same time. I mean, that's absolutely perverse, but that's the world that we've created, where everything's an addiction. Addiction to pornography, addiction to gaming, addiction to fast food through delivery. You can't walk 5 yards without a delivery bike whizzing past you. So I think we've set up an addiction society. Basically, our whole, everything we do is fueled by addiction, fueled by compulsive obsessive behaviour. So we can hardly be all prissy when suddenly, people are kind of addicted to street drugs. It's a very, very small part of a massive problem, of an existential problem about who we are.
You say a lot of interesting things and funny things in the film, but you say you're no longer an atheist. So what's led you to that stance? Well, I mean,
I'm not, I wouldn't say I was a believer in kind of an omnipotent almighty God. I think that, I think I'm a kind of cross between a sort of an atheist and some kind of believer in God, because I think that my experience with DMT has changed the way I think about things. I think there is an afterlife and a before life, and I think this is just a very small slither of who we are, this reality that we're in. I basically see this as a kind of working holiday.
Are you more preoccupied with your own mortality now because of your age, or you're 66 now, you're 67 next month, aren't you?
Well, again, it's like there's age in a sort of, you're aware when you look in the mirror, when you're having a shave, you think to yourself, God, I'm not looking the fresh-faced young kid that I used to, but I see time in a different way. I don't see it as linear. I see it as kind of, it's sort of like, I see it as something that's kind of moving through me rather than me moving through it, basically. So I don't really worry about that too much. I don't feel that I've never had a trajectory that I thought I have to be, I have to do this by this time, do this by that time. I have to. Now that I've got to a certain age, I have to stop going to clubs, or I have to stop, traveling to football away games and all that. I've never really sort of felt that there was a time to compromise what I wanted to do, basically, for the dictates of anything, whether it's time, whether it's kind of social class, whether it's anything that's expected of you in terms of behaviour. I've always felt that you make a pact with yourself that this is how you're going to live your life.
And you've lived your life exactly how you have wanted to. I mean, I'm really struck by, you obviously think you've had a really fortunate life. You said that you effectively retired 30 years ago, and you've been given this tremendous freedom being a successful writer. Yeah,
I mean, it is the most important thing. I mean, I'm saying that time doesn't bother me, but I'm saying the most important thing is time, because it's a finite resource that we have, and we have to use it wisely. And yes, you need a bit of money to be able to sort of finance what you're doing, but we get so sidetracked with money, basically, and we think that's the end all and be all, and that's what kind of destroys us spiritually, and it stops us from getting the best out of the time that we have here.
The director made a decision not to kind of talk to all your friends and your peers, so it's just you in the film. And you were saying to me that he just wanted to...
Which is great. It's a good choice, Paul.
You said that he really wanted to give a real insight into what you're like as a person. You know, you said, romantic. And I don't think that's a word that I would have associated with you. But the way you are with your wife and your friends, I thought it was very revealing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, when you have all these journalistic profiles of you, they always buy into that kind of Trainspotting, kind of druggy, kind of hard man from the schemes thing and all that, and it's like, you see a little, a kind of snapshot of how you might have been for about 12 months in your life or something like that, but you can't be defined by all that, we've got, we're all houses of many rooms, basically, and I've always been kind of a kind of incurable, insufferable romantic, basically.
I probably know the answer to this question. I suspect you're going to say no, but do you have any regrets at all about the way you've lived your life or what you've done or paths you didn't take?
I think the regret that I have is that I don't have more lives, basically. I'd like to have squeezed more in, basically, but you can't in the time that you've got available. And that's why the time is such an important thing, because it's not so much. I would like to have lived life as a woman. I would hope to have been able to do that as well, and I hope I might be able to get a chance to do that when I come back.
Trust me, I don't know if you necessarily do. We will leave it there. Irvine, thank you so much for joining us on Scotland Tonight.
Thank you.